Here we see a DNA molecule that orbits, and we see its several bases. And this molecule is composed of only 4 bases: the adenine, which pairs the thymine, and the cytosine, which pairs the guanine. And this is very important because here you see a very small fragment, and here you see several patterns that happen that you might not experience. In a real DNA model, bases would be 0.34 nanometers apart. So that means that this DNA molecule is very compact because there are 6 billion bases in one chromosome. And imagine, all our cells have 23 pairs of chromosomes. And those 23 pairs of chromosomes, that includes the little sex chromosomes, the X and the Y. But the 6 billion bases, they could be spread across different genes, especially if you're a male. I'm a female, so I have 2 X's, and each of those X's have 15,000 genes, about 15,000 genes. It isn't an exact number. If I would be a male, then I would have an X and a Y, and that X would have 1,500 genes, but the Y chromosome is the most gene poor of all and would have only about 78 chromosomes. Now let's talk about the rest of this DNA molecule. You would have a full turn every 10 base pairs, or 3.4 nanometers. This is an animated animation, so you can't really track this, but it would be easier if you'd be able to pause it. Now, the diameter of the DNA molecule is 2 nanometers long, and these demonstrate how DNA is just so compact. This is just a very simple image. But DNA could be portrayed in a range of simplified diagrams. For example, you could have a structural image, just a real structural image, or you could have it all combined like in a space-filling model of a molecule, or you could have them like demonstrate the phosphate and the sugar, and then the cartoon kind of depiction of the base. And then you would have the same thing, and they would have a bunch of groups. And also other images that you could just have this DNA molecule that isn't animated, where it demonstrates this sugar phosphate backbone as lines, like here. Sugar phosphate backbone is lines, and then there are a bunch of nitrogenous bases instead of these. But here it's a bit more accurate, so you could probably be able to see the hydrogen bonds. So adenine-thymine bonds have 2, and the cytosine guanine have 3, so you could already recognize which base connects to which one. That's helpful. And then you could have a flattened diagram, which, for example, a ladder style, where it would have a little bit of detail about the sugar phosphate, but then you would have the sequence without any space. You wouldn't show the hydrogen bonds. Then you could make it like a ladder. So the sugar phosphate backbone is going to be a ladder, like this, and then there's going to be the bases with no hydrogen bond depiction. Or you could just make it not even showing the sequence, so you could have this light blue indicating the more recently synthesized strand. In a DNA replication, that's named a lagging strand. And then you could have that other strand called the leading strand that was synthesized after. That's just some term for DNA replication, and you wouldn't even show the sequence. Sometimes the double-stranded DNA molecule is shown simply as 2 straight lines with a little bit of space. And you might actually show the 5' and the 3'. So this 5' is over here, and then you would have 3', so 5', 3'. And then you would have this reverse 3', 5'. So here you would have genetic information is carried in DNA as a linear sequence of nucleotides that may be transcribed into mRNA. If you don't know what mRNA is, it's messenger RNA, and then it could be translated as a polypeptide. And then we're going to talk about transcription and translation later on in later videos. And then when you focus on the DNA, each nucleotide can be represented simply as the letter of its base, A, T, C, or G. So you could also label the 3' or 5', so it could look like 3ACGTAAGCGGTTAAT. And what about the other strand? Remember those base pairing rules, but the 5 and the 3 are different. So you get TGC, ATT, then CGG, or CGC, and then the CAA, and then the TTA, and then it's 3 end. Okay, thank you so much. Also, this is available, and you could see this is a Danny animation, and this is available online. And this was rendered using Paimon. Thank you so much, and bye.